What was that?
Mr. Caruth, can you please mute yourself?
Good evening. Welcome to the Cortez City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. This is the hybrid meeting, in person and virtual contact through Zoom. Will you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance now, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The listing under consent agenda is a group of items to be acted on with a single vote and motion. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. The mayor will ask if a citizen or council member wishes to have a specific item removed from the consent agenda for discussion. Either the public or a council member may request that an item be removed from the consent agenda at that time prior to the council's vote. The items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the special meetings minute for our April 23rd, 2021, and the work session and regular meeting minutes of April 27th, 2021. B, approval of the expenditure vouchers of May 11th, 2021. C, approval of a renewal hotel and restaurant liquor license for BMCJ Incorporated, DBA Stonefish Sushi and More, located at 16 West Main Street, Cortez. D, approval of a modification of premises for Renee Roulez, DBA Doobie Sisters Botanics, located at 695 North Broadway, Unit 2, Cortez. F, approval of renewal fermented malt beverage off-premises liquor license and change in corporate structure for Western Refining Retail, LLC, DBA Speedway number 9492, located at 2320 East Main Street, Cortez. G, approval of a special event permit for the Denver Post Ride the Rockies to hold an event at Park DeVita, located next to the Cortez Rec Center, 425 Roger Smith Avenue, Cortez, on Monday, June 14th, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. H, approval of a special event permit for Four Corners Child Advocacy Center to host the Celtic Fair in Park DeVita, located next to the Cortez Recreation Center, 425 Roger Smith Avenue, Cortez, on Saturday, June 26, 2021, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. I, approval of an agreement with Armstrong Consultants for the emergency replacement of runway 03 precision approach path indicators at the airport. And J, approval of a renewal of retail marijuana store license application for Southwest Sunshine, LLC, DBA Doobie Sisters, located at 694 North Broadway, Cortez.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Medina,
Aye.
Yazdi,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Stover,
Aye.
Lucero,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is citizen participation. We have time for 6 citizens to be allotted time to address council, and remaining public comments will be allotted under agenda item number 9. No member of the public shall comment more than once at any meeting, nor shall any person be seated the time of another commenter. Comments may be limited to 4 minutes per person. Please comment on items not listed as public hearing. Council may or may not respond to comments. Are there any public comments or participation tonight?
Is there anybody on Zoom?
Anyone on Zoom?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to presentations. First item under presentations is the Historic Preservation Day proclamation. Council will consider proclaiming Historic Preservation Day as May 22nd, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I'd be happy to read the proclamation as the representative to the Historic Preservation Board.
Thank you, Robert. Go ahead.
Proclamation for Historic Preservation Day. Whereas May is National Historic Preservation Month, and whereas walking tours of the Cortez Historic Buildings will be given during the day on Saturday, May 22nd, 2021, and a sneak preview of the Montezuma Heritage Museum will be offered. And whereas these events are sponsored by the Cortez Historic Preservation Board, Cortez Cultural Center, the Montezuma County Historical Society, and the Cortez Retail Enhancement Association. And whereas the city of Cortez recognizes the importance of keeping the history of Cortez and the surrounding area alive through education and cultural opportunities. Therefore, I, Michael J. Leahy, Mayor of the city of Cortez, do hereby proclaim May 22nd, 2021 as Historic Preservation Day. And do hereby urge citizens of this community to recognize and support the opportunities to learn more about the history of our community through various events held that day. Witnessed by hand this 11th day of May 2021. And I make a motion to approve the proclamation for Historic Preservation Day.
Second.
Yazdi, Stover,
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Medina,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye. Aye. Thank you. Next, there are no, no public hearings under new business. The first item is out of city water tap request and pre-annexation agreement for property located at 11741 Highway 145. Director of Public Works, Phil Johnson. Good evening, Phil.
Good evening, honorable mayor, members of city council. Again, we have a application for a development out of the city that we can provide water to. This is for 7 out of city water taps, as stated, for property owners Paul and David Wayne. You know, as you're aware that we do this, and there's a pre-annexation agreement involved with these types of services. There is an additional 50% cost for the services for each tap, but not for the rate of water that they use. This parcel is on Highway 145 on the west side, right across from the Gopher store and Fairway intersection. This is unique, not totally new to us, but we have the developer sign a pre-application agreement for the entire parcel. And then when they sell individual taps to a homeowner, they'll have to sign them as well. So basically, we're guaranteeing service to development by this pre-annexation agreement. When an individual tap is then allocated or purchased, another pre-annexation agreement will be made for that parcel that will go through that ownership. We've received the application from their point, Jason Carew. They have signed a pre-annexation agreement as well as request for water service. We have there are 2 lines that go through this parcel. transmission lines, as well as an existing home site that is served by one of our taps for water. And we are in full support of this, providing the water. They are adjacent to the city, and we do provide water to the 145 corridor from Rodale North, almost to Rodale.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Worley?
I don't have any.
Okay. Okay, I have no questions. We have a motion on this item, please.
Yeah. I would like to make a motion to approve the application for a 3/4 inch out of city water tap request and pre-annexation agreement for the property located at 11741 Highway 145 as submitted by Veronica Kelmans Oldman. And the stipulation that the applicants install an approved backflow prevention device.
Second.
So Phil, your presentation was on the 7
Right.
water tap.
Went to the wrong order.
So,
So I can do
A and B
redo.
were,
Oh,
he just did the one for the 7 water taps for.
Yeah, instead of the single one, I'm sorry, my apologies.
Okay.
Can we leave the motion hanging for the other one and then do the motion for this one?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that.
He presented 6B first.
I'm sorry about that.
okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the application for 7 3/4 inch out of city water taps and pre-annexation agreement for the land proposed PUD on property located at 11187 Highway 145 as submitted by Jason Cruz, agent for Paul and Dana Land, with the stipulation that the applicant install approved backflow prevention devices for each water tap.
Second.
Thank you. Rainey?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Tina?
Aye.
Josie? Dobry? Thank you.
Aye. Thank you. So we'll consider the first one now. Okay. Bill, we'll go to the out of city water tap request for pre-annexation agreement for property located at 11741 Highway 145.
11187. Mr. Mayor.
11741.
It's item 6A, right?
Okay.
Again, my apologies. I will highlight the item number, not the public works document number, next time I have the same kind of presentation. My apologies. This is a out of city water tap request for, again, a parcel that we talked about this last year. There was a single family home that was sold with a trailer on it. There was only one residential tap. The person who bought that parcel came in and brought an extra tap, and we knew that their intention was to subdivide. And my public works group put a second tap in at the same time. So this is an application for that other tap we put in preemptively for this subdivision, and we are in full support of it going through. They have signed their requests as well as their pre-annexation.
Any questions from council? Worley, any questions?
I don't have any.
So
I have no
we,
questions.
so we continue our vote then? Okay.
Okay, now can I have a motion on this? item?
We've got one already. It's in the air.
Okay,
It's hanging.
okay, you know, vote it.
By Councilmember Medina, seconded by Councilmember Lee. Dobry?
Aye.
Lucero?
Aye.
Rainey?
Aye.
Josie?
Aye.
Medina?
Aye.
Rainey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item under new business is Ride of the Ancients gravel grinder sponsorship request. Susan Thomas, Highway Coordinator, will present information on Ride of the Ancients gravel grinder and request support from the city for a new event. Good evening, Susan.
Good evening, and thank you so much for the time on your agenda. We really appreciate it. I made notes so that I could try to avoid wandering around because I like to talk about this stuff. I have two colleagues, Diane McBride and Anthony Kirlock, who are playing major parts in this project. So I want a little time for them to talk to, so I'm trying to keep it short. Our update and request for support tonight is really about growing local tourism in a fresh, sustainable way while continuing the stewardship the Trail of the Ancients National Scenic Byway and Southwest Colorado Canyons Alliance already provide. To grow tourism in a healthy way, our community has to have the right infrastructure in place to support that growth. We need destinations, we need programs to interpret those destinations, we have to protect the public lands where most of our destinations are located, and we need activities and events to create news and attract attention to us. It's a combination of all those factors. The two organizations represented here tonight provide an important part of that infrastructure. Trail of the Ancients is the only federal byway dedicated totally to archaeological and cultural sites, with several well-crafted itineraries available on our website for visitors who come to pursue heritage tourism. The Canyons Alliance interprets those cultural resources and educates visitors about how to respect, even offering small guided tours for a small donation. So we very much complement each other and serve the visitors in different ways. The two of us offer a rich package for the visitors, but our challenge continues to be maintaining our own programs in an environment with very few sources of support. We don't charge visitors for what we do, so part of the rationale for Ride of the Ancients Gravel Rider is to create a way to generate operating funds to keep our own work going. As they say, the first time is the hardest, and that is where we are this year. Gravel riders are so popular that Rhoda, our nickname, will grow every year, and revenue will also grow, eventually more than covering expenses. What we want to do is set aside enough of that revenue for the following year, but we also need it to support the work we do. As you can see from the budget in your packet, we have received local contributions from tourism organizations as well as private donors, along with significant in-kind services provided by Ashley Caroline and the Canyons Alliance volunteers. Trail of the Ancients, my byway, is the linkage to the state of Colorado, self-evident in the letters of support from both CDOT and the Colorado Tourism Office. We are hopeful that the city of Cortez will consider allocating the remaining $5,000 to meet our event expenses, and we don't anticipate needing to do this every year. As I said in my memorandum to you, this once was a road bike ride, a century ride. In fact, we ran it for 4 years. It never really took off in the sense of numbers, and I think some of that is the safety issue with roads. We went down Palo Canyon by Halloween back around. It was a lot of fun, it was exciting, but it didn't really grow. Ash is going to go into detail about gravel riders, but we're into a whole different genre now, and it's one that we happen to be at the very beginning of it here in the States, so we're really excited. So I'm going to turn the podium over to Diane McBride, who's the Associate Director of Canyons Alliance, and then Ashley Caroline, a professionally sponsored mountain bike racer, who's also a local. We'll talk about changes and developments in the riding and racing world and where Rhoda fits in. So that's my part, and now my colleague.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to present our Ride of the Ancients to you. I'm Diane McBride, Associate Director for Southwest Colorado Canyons Alliance. Southwest Colorado Canyons Alliance collaborates with Canyons of the Ancients National Monument to engage the public through education, outreach, stewardship for the use and enjoyment of natural and cultural landscape. We are basically the friends group for Canyons, the Ancients National Monument. Our programs, including the Cultural Site Stewardship Program, Wilderness Study Area Monitoring, Trail Information Specialists, education and hands-on service projects, engage approximately 100 volunteers to maintain and protect the very resources for which our corner of paradise is recognized. We have the highest density of archaeological sites in North America. People travel from around the world to visit our area, and tourism can be a sustainable source of revenue. Our tours by SCCA provides educational interpretation of these special places that includes messages of visitation etiquettes and protection of natural resources. Our financial resources have been hit hard in this last year, as many have. We rely on memberships, donations, sponsorships, and grants to accomplish our objectives. We propose a Rite of the Ancients as an annual fundraiser to help sustain our organizations for the Trail of the Ancients and Southwest Colorado Canyons land so that we can continue to provide our lands with the care they so richly deserve. Consider joining us on June 26th. Even if you do not plan to grind the gravel, we will have something for you and your family. Vendors, family and kid-friendly activities, and more will be happening in Dolores on June 26th. Thank you, and now I'd like to turn it over to Ashley Caroline. She's going to really give you some good information about gravel grinding and why we are choosing this opportunity for our area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council, for considering us. My name is Ashley Caroline. I am a professional cyclist. My professional license is actually in cross-country mountain biking. However, where the money comes from, where the sponsors come from, is all gravel. This is what they're paying me to do. I do gravel grinding. The reason why we have chosen a gravel route opposed to doing the road again is number one, like they said, the safety is a big issue. There's not as many cars on these gravel roads. The riders feel more comfortable. We don't have to have as much people out there. Second, if you look at the cycling industry right now, it is changing completely. Road cycling is falling by the wayside for many reasons, and that's one of them. Safety is the reason. The other thing is the geometry of bikes has changed. The components you're actually gearing that you use, companies are now making gravel specific. This is where the money is. This is where the whole entire industry is going. What we have here is an amazing, beautiful area that is going to attract cyclists from all over the United States and beyond. That I can assure you. I will be going soon to do a race called Unbound, used to be called Dirty Kansas, in Kansas, flat, Rolling Hill, Kansas. Thousands of people are signing up to do this event. When I contacted USA Cycling, who is our insurance carrier, when they saw the pictures of what we have here, he said, this event will grow because of where you are, because of this particular route. This is our first year though, and so we do need some help to grow this event. We have maxed out at 200 people. I will not have any more than 200. Right now, I have 57 people signed up. And it's been growing every single day, the more that people get. I think we're going to get to that 200 number, and next year we're going to have to make that bigger. So we would appreciate your consideration on this, because I think it's going to help not only our organizations, but it will help our cities and our county to bring in some great tourism, like 12 Hours of Mesa Verde. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's quite a good idea. Bicycling is very important in this area, Phil's World and the 12 Hours of Mesa Verde, and it seems to be a growing concern, growing idea. But see, we'll have to check with our finance director in terms of the $5,000 ask. Is there any questions or comments from the council on this?
I have some questions. So I'm just looking at your committed sponsorships for 2021, and one of them is Mesa Verde Country, and one of them is Korea, both of which are already funded by the city. Can I ask where the local businesses are located that have funded this event?
we're in discussions with Osprey, we're in discussions with Restaurant Row on Main Street. We also have a list of other vendors who are smaller that we're also talking to. It's not a great
Could you
year.
go up to the mic, please?
Yeah, sorry, you will need to go to the mic.
I'm sorry. So Ashley's dealing with Osprey. They have sponsored our road bike event in the past, partly with products and with some money as well. Restaurant Row on Main Street is also another in conversation sponsor. We have a list of smaller vendors that we're approaching. I'll be very honest, it's a tough year to approach businesses. Some of them are barely hanging on. So we came to some of we felt larger sources just because Walmart, I believe, is going to do the aid stations. So we're getting support, but it's not what it was a few years ago when we started with the road race or road ride. This is not a race, it's a timed ride. But with the pandemic, we can't expect everyone to pitch in.
And are you going to be reaching out to Dolores where the race will be starting, correct?
Dolores has been working with us very cooperatively on all the aspects of starting and ending the ride there. As far as I know, they're not giving us any money, but they're giving us a lot of cooperation. We're having a farmers market in Flanders Park with music and vendors from all over the county. The Dolores River Brewery is opening their beer garden and giving every rider a free beer after the ride. We have vendors coming with food. We have children's activities, a bike rodeo, parade of antique bikes. So we're getting a lot of cooperation. We haven't asked for money. We're getting some discounts from from Cortez Lodgers. Retro Inn is interested in Holiday Express, looks like they'll help out. So we try to sort of spread the load around a little bit because obviously everyone's not going to stay in Dolores.
Yeah. And I don't know if it would make sense for your purposes, but have you also thought about asking the county for any sort of donation?
Going there next week. Now, I do have to say the county basically bankrolled the flume stop on the byway. They provided in-kind gravel, they provided a lot of cash for building that. So not that they wouldn't give again, but they sent a lot of money into that on behalf of the byway. That's our newest stop. So they have been very supportive. I don't know yet if the new commission is will support this, but I'm scheduled for a week from today.
Kelly, could you answer if we have discretionary funds or grant community funds?
So currently, remaining in budget that we have for council contributions, there is $21,000 left in that budget that's available for you to spend.
Thank you, Kelly.
When would be the latest that you would need to cover that amount?
I'm sorry?
When would be the latest that you would need to procure that amount? Like the total?
It would be great before the event transpires, but we'd also be happy for it afterwards because some of our expenses aren't immediately due. USA Cycling, for instance, which will probably cost us $1,100, $1,200, we can pay after the event because they charge us per ride. So, we're trying to massage things as best we can. Even if it came in two parts, that'd be great. If you, for some reason, wanted to divide it up.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious to see what other sources of donations you could get before we commit to anything, or assuming that the council wants to commit to anything.
So if I could report on the private donations.
Or I'm curious to see what other donations you will get in, and then then we can consider whatever amounts.
Yeah, there will be the private sector probably at this, and the county.
Yeah.
So I should know this time next week about the county. I'd be happy to submit a summary to you of what's transpired by that time. County and private. Sort of another update, I guess I could say.
Yeah, so me as one council member would be interested in seeing how successful that is. Just because, like I said, we're kind of indirectly already funding you guys, and so, I'm curious to see what else you guys could procure, before committing to anything. But that's just my one opinion, and I'd love to hear from the other councilors.
I would say, what if we at least gave half now then, and then wait for that report? Do 2,500.
I was going to say that it's just, when I was looking at short notice, and that thing's next month, roughly. I was just wondering if it's short notice. I think we should have been approached earlier, I think, if they're going to be that short of funds.
We put this together pretty fast. We had kind of a challenge finding the date between Escalante Day, 4th of July, but Forest Service did not want us on the road at all. Ashland's going to Morocco in October to race. That would have been our normal day because we've kind of done the Indigenous Peoples Weekend. We had to look for another time because she would be out of the country, and she is the ride director and also a big asset in attracting entries. So it's amazing. We live in a busy place. There are a lot of things going on. We had to wait till the snow melted and find a gravel route that was a century route. Originally, we were hoping for a more technical route on Canyons of the Ancients, but they are extremely careful about any permitting, anything that generates revenue. And actually, we're happier to do the gravel route than the more technical route because it's really more popular. And I think a better, again, to invest in the long term because it's so hot right now. It's really popular. So we massaged the date as best we could. And I've heard you.
Yeah, well, the other reason, the main reason why we've done this in so short notice was because of COVID. And I was not sure where we would be as a country and as a city 6 months ago. So when we started thinking about this, it was literally, can we work this out? Can this happen and still be safe with this pandemic that we are all living in? That's why it's short notice.
I have a question. So basically the gravel grinder is replacing the road ride.
You are seeing a lot of road races in the United States and actually beyond becoming less and less popular. You're seeing way more gravel grinders growing up than the road. And in fact, the only things that, the only races that road riders are still going to are if they are a USA Cycling specific, so that those pro cyclists can get points to then go to the Olympics. And even those races are now starting to run out of funding and are dying out. Colorado Classic is one of them. And they went only to women, which was very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad that we're able to support it through both Mesa Verde Country and CREA. And if there was part of the route that was in the city, I think I would be happy to kind of waive permit fees and things like that. But we really have structured the additional council giving around like direct services, particularly in the COVID time. We're like trying to fund the shelter and organizations like that. And I would just struggle with providing additional funding.
David, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any thoughts?
I'm sorry.
Any thoughts on this? What do you think?
I agree.
See, I'd like to hear what the county has to offer and other agencies or municipalities. It sounds like a good idea. We have to watch our budget, but this would also bring in tourists, bring in money for lodging and bike shops and restaurants. So I wonder we could hold off on the vote on this to later date to find out how much the other municipalities would be putting in.
Can we put it off till the 25th, table till the 25th? Or would that be,
Just take a motion and a vote.
To table?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to make a motion.
yeah, I'll make a motion to table, determining whether or not we will provide a sponsorship for the Rhoda event, until our next workshop happening on May 25th. So that we can get some more information about other sponsors for the event.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Second.
Rainey,
Aye.
Lucero,
Aye.
Rossi,
Aye.
Rubric,
Aye.
Medina,
Aye.
Lady.
Aye, thank you. Next item.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is city representative for the dispatch user group, Chief of Police Vern Knuckles. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The reason I'm here tonight is, you guys know that the Cortez Police Department manages, the city operates the Cortez Dispatch Center, which is the consolidated 911 public safety answering point. Because of that, we provide dispatch services to 11 entities in the county. The city has developed an intergovernmental agreement, or an IGA, that these entities sign for this service. Because it's an intergovernmental agreement, you know, for the city of Cortez, you guys are the participant of the dispatch service, because you guys are the government. So what I'm asking is for council to consider naming your representative to sit on a group, which is called a user group, which is representatives from each of the 11 entities that use our services. This user group, we just discussed, you know, how to improve the dispatch services across the county, even in Dolores County. We discussed the need for equipment. We do not make decisions on the purchase of equipment. All of that stuff would come to our governing agencies. But to operate this user group, each entity needs to have a representative identified. A few meetings back, council asked John Doherty, the previous city manager, and I to represent the city. It was just kind of a unofficial appointment while we're working on updating the IGA. John has since retired, and we're still kind of working on the IGA, and I've still been representing the city on that negotiation. But I felt it appropriate at this point in kind of taking the lead with the city to try to get council to identify their representative, so that the other entities will do the same, and we can start working this IGA appropriately and according to statute. That's why I'm here, just asking you guys to maybe consider appointing the city's representative.
You have two, right?
We will have.
So the reason I'm bringing that up is you're gonna have two representatives on there. They don't have to be from law enforcement. There was some discussion, Ms. Koski pointed out various improvements that could be made to the, I'm sorry,
Ms. Koski had pointed out various improvements that could be made to the financing. Not all the costs are being
caught as we discussed before. Chief Knuckles and Ms. Goski could be two good appointments there to kind of get a handle on things, because the city runs this thing, operates this thing, pays the payroll, pays, all the bills, and bills out the users who pay in. And so they would be your members on what's called an accountability committee. And so that's just something to throw out. That was one of our biggest concerns, was the finances, and so, she's giving me a funny look maybe, but the finance person might be the one to have on there if that's our true concern. And then we can feel comfortable with what we're doing.
If council would remember our conversation a few meetings ago, something that led to the development or the tightening up of the IGA and working on the new one was kind of some potential concerns from the user. And I don't want to speak for Ms. Koski, but I mean, it might not be a bad one to have her there. So everything is pretty transparent. It has been in the past anyway. I think I mean, they're asking for financial reports every quarter. We have meetings quarterly, so every quarter. Who would be better than her?
Volunteer. About whether she'd be willing to be representative or not.
It would be, yeah, and that was the bus moves.
Kelly, do you have thoughts about that? About being a representative with dispatch?
So I have to say that I would be happy to be representative for the users group. I agree that there have been some issues in the past where that particular group has not necessarily received all of the information that they needed in order to make accurate decisions, and possibly some of the information that they received has not been specifically relevant to the decisions that they're making. So as much work as I know that will be for the person that is the finance person, I'm happy to take that on. As long as I drive hard along with every meeting.
Well, thank you. In that case, I would like to make a motion to appoint our finance director and police chief as our representative to the representatives to the dispatch units.
Second.
Would you authorize the mayor to sign a written resolution to that effect? Because I'm going to make everybody else do the same thing so that we have representatives.
And Vern, are you okay with that?
Yes, I would like to have it in a resolution. We're going to require that of the other users, so the board members of the user group, or the entities know who the representatives are.
Okay, then I'll address that. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a resolution to appoint our finance director and police chief as our representatives to dispatch users.
Second.
Technically, it's the accountability committee is what they call it in the, if I remember correctly, the agreement's almost ready to sign. We just have to circulate, but I think that the title is the accountability committee.
In the new one, yes.
In the okay. To the accountability committee.
Second.
Under the heading of traffic.
Yeah.
Any last comment from my group?
No, I'm
All right, second.
Dobry,
Aye.
Lucero,
Aye.
Greeny,
Aye.
Medina,
Aye.
Lozzie,
Aye.
Clayton.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for new representatives. Okay, next item on the agenda is the 2021 Vehicle Bid Award. Director of General Services, Rick Smith. Good evening, Rick.
Good evening, council. Honorable Mayor and City Council, this is the 2021 vehicle bid. And just real quickly, the general fund, which is purchases on the equipment fund, budgeted $156,000. And in this, in this bid, we also included $36,000 budgeted for airport pickup. The city received 2 dealers responding to our bid. That was Morhart Murphy and Durango and Kazee Motor Company and Cortez. And as we mentioned in the workshop, we have delivered 3 to the 3 local bidders, dealers, and that's how we got. So the bid item 1, low bidder is Morhart Murphy for a Dodge. By the way, they did both Chevrolet and Dodge on some items. Bid item 2, Morhart Murphy for a Dodge. Bid item 3, that's Chevy pickup, Morhart Murphy. And bid item 4, that's the animal control vehicle, and for the airport, Kazee Motor Company. The overall purchases for that would be general fund $136,540.59. And the equipment, the airport fund purchase would be $31,077. So overall, that's below the amount budgeted at both the airport and the equipment fund.
So the specialized kennel bed will go into the pickup truck. And that's,
Yeah, on the kennel animal control, we need to find out which model pickup so we can get the specialized kennel bed to fit the pickup. So that will come next.
okay. Okay. Any other questions from the council? Worley, do you have any questions?
I don't have any. I was gonna just ask, how long would these get, if they purchase them, how long would it take, Rick, to get them in, or do they have them in stock?
That's a $64 question because all
That's what I was wondering. 'Cause there's the shortage on everything, so.
they're having chip problems, all manufacturers. In fact, this year we tried something a little bit different. These will be 2022 model year vehicles. In the past few years, by the time we would get an award made, the council would get the vehicles ordered, the plants had already shut down production for that. Many times I had to come back to council to move it to the second bidder and whatnot. So we tried to wait a little bit later in the year. And that's why we specify 2022 vehicle model years if they're able to produce them. They claim we'll get them somewhere October, November, if the chip shortage gets handled.
Thank you. I don't have any more.
Thank you, Worley. Anyone else? Anyone on the council have any other questions or comments? May I have a motion on this item?
Okay, I'll make a motion to award bid item 1 to the low bidder, Morhart Murphy for the Dodge at $32,221, and bid item 2 to the low bidder, Morhart Murphy for the Dodge at $31,832.95, and bid item 3 to the low bidder, Morhart Murphy for the Chevrolet at $42,237.64, and bid item 4 to the low bidder, Kazee Motors for 2 Ford units at $31,077 each.
Medina,
Aye.
Dawsey,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Gilbreeze,
Aye.
Lucero.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. See there no draft resolutions or ordinances, other items of business. What is the status of the executive session?
We're good? We should have it.
Okay,
We should have it.
okay, if necessary, council will adjourn to executive session now for conference with the city attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS section 24-6-4024B, and for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and/or instructing negotiators under CRS section 24-6-4024E. The discussion will be on the new city manager contract. We will adjourn this meeting for the executive session. We will return to the regular meeting shortly afterwards. Okay, time is now 8:41 PM and the executive session has concluded. The participants in the executive session were Orly Lucero, Arlena Yazzie, Robert Dobry, Rachel Medina, myself, Michael J. Levy, David Rainey, and Michael Green. And let's see, for the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, next item on the agenda is, go ahead, Robert.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Drew C. Sanders, with one amendment to Schedule 2, replacing without cause with by council, and to welcome Drew Sanders as our new city manager.
Second.
Yazzie,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Lucero,
Aye.
Medina,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
Lane.
Aye. Thank you. Next item under the agenda is citizen participation. No member of the public shall comment more than once at any meeting, nor shall any person be seated at the time of another commenter. Comments may be limited to 4 minutes per person. Please comment on items not listed as public hearing. Council may or may not respond to comments. Are there any citizen participation in the audience? Go ahead, ma'am. You go up to the podium and turn the microphone on and state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Jessie Stiglmeyer. I live at 23240 County Road P. I have been an addict in this community for most of my life. Came here today to possibly talk to the city council about funding for a detox or a rehabilitation center. We so desperately need it here. I've been doing a lot of research. I actually found a property that would be perfect for a rehab and a detox center. There's also enough space to have to do farming and to have a work program and things that will help these people work and it's also a property that there is actually a lot of stuff on this property, so if you ever bought the property, the stuff can be sold to make money back off of the property. Our community is full of addicts, and fentanyl is a very, very, very bad pill that is actually coming to our community, and most people don't see it. For the past 2 years, I have been around a lot of heroin addicts and fentanyl users, and I've watched my friends die continuously. And none of them want to use drugs. They don't want to be heroin addicts. They don't. But they have nowhere to go and they have no help. And right now I'm working with CARS to try, and anyone who gets arrested, I have been getting them on the MAP program with CARS. I go and I take the application to the jail and they fill it out and I get them set up to get them on the Vivitrol shot. The Vivitrol shot is a shot that helps heroin addicts and fentanyl opiates it takes their cravings away, and I've actually helped 2 people who, one of them has been on heroin since he was 10 years old. And he has been clean now for 3 weeks. He's got a job and he's moving forward. There's so many more out there that I can't save everyone, especially because I'm a recovering addict myself, but I'm just asking for some sort of help or maybe some ideas on what we can do to get the funding to possibly purchase this property and start building a rehab or something to help all these people. That's all I have.
Can I respond?
Yes.
I just, first of all, want to say thank you for coming up here and talking with us and for what you're doing in the community. So there is, I don't know how familiar you are with it, but there is conversation around an inpatient, like developing an inpatient treatment center somewhere in our community. It's still very preliminary. Really just these initial conversations related to some of the opioid funding that's coming back down from the state. If you haven't yet, I hope that you reach out to the county administrator, Jack Powers, because I think it's voices like yours with lived experience that are necessary to help move that conversation along and to advocate for a resource that's desperately needed. Thank you.
I just want to add to, like, Linda, what do you think about, could we set up another board-to-board meeting where we meet with the county commissioners and, so can you set that up or help us meet with the commissioners, and then maybe we can invite, other kind of stakeholders?
Another thought that I had, I don't think I brought it up to you, Chris, but I would like to inquire to look into the stipulations of the ARPA funding as well, to see if there's anything around substance use and recovery, especially again, as a result of the pandemic, substance use has gone up tremendously. I'd love to know if there's any sort of, any way we could delegate some of those funds towards like a substance use treatment center in our community for sustainability. Thank you.
I don't know if you want these, but I did make copies of the property.
We'll take some.
Folks, I kind of know Stiglmeyer because I represent a lot of people who are like her in my other part of my practice. I've seen her in court when she wasn't all that great, but the last few months I've seen her in court and she's been pretty fantastic in her recovery. The fact that she's in here and can open talk to you folks is a major thing for her in her life. So I just want you to know you've got somebody here who's working at this just about every minute of every day, that she, it's kind of neat to watch her in court and see the progress. So you're looking at somebody who's working harder than most of us sitting here just to live. So congratulations.
What are your contacts on any of that information?
We do,
Or should we get it?
on this letter that we got in our mailbox.
Right, okay.
This is your letter, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stiglmeyer. I appreciate your concern and admire your caring heart and concern for community. You definitely, this got our attention. We'll definitely look into some of the programs that have already been started, and we look forward to working with you in the future. It sounds like you're willing to offer yourself as a person who cares and wants to help others. I just thank you so much for what you're doing. And thank you for what you've become. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could remind you, possibly, to consider having a little discussion about dispensing with temperature checks at your next council meeting.
Okay.
So the conversation is, do we want to continue or discontinue the temperature checks?
I'll continue. We can vote on this?
We can discuss it
Yeah, we can
a little bit. How does everybody else feel about the temperature checks?
For the temperature check. Mark Meyer determined that the physician at the hospital said that the temperature check is, it doesn't hurt, but it's not that effective. So it may be one thing that we might consider not enforcing. Does the council think on that?
Well, I'd be willing to disable it or disband it because, you know, we have Chief Balfour off, you know, volunteer his time to do that. And, you know, he's got probably more important things to do. And if it's not necessary, you know, I don't want to waste his time.
Would we still be doing the health screens? Or would you, in other words, the questions we ask, or would you be getting rid of the whole process or just the temperature check?
At this point in time, the request from the chief was that we just dispense with the temperature checks. The data that is out there right now is that they really do not tell you anything. Over the last year or so, in doing temperature checks at various places, it's not identified any cases of COVID. There's evidence out there that 97.8, whatever our temperature is supposed to be, that's not the average. And so it really doesn't tell you anything. And at the next meeting, at the workshop is when we're asking council really to begin discuss how they want to begin holding meetings, masks, et cetera. Essentially, the data is saying also that as long as you're doing masks, the temperature check really doesn't add anything to that.
Okay. What would that mean then for like the rec center that is doing temperature checks?
They would do the same thing. They would dispense with temperature checks also.
Okay.
They're paying somebody just to stand there all day long, taking temperature checks. But everybody has to wear a mask, so we dispense with the temperature checks at the rec center also.
Okay. And save staff time.
Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to discontinue the temperature checks here at City Hall and at the rec center. Or should I just say generally discontinue temperature checks?
I don't think you can, this is not, we didn't amend the agenda for an action item, but I think, being as these were imposed by the manager before, I think the manager could tell the fire chief that we don't need to do temperature checks, but I still have the question, how do we do the rest of the health screen? Are you coughing? Are you this? Are you that? So we're still gonna have somebody at the rec center at the meetings to ask those questions, or am I someplace else?
At this point in time, what I've been told is that you're not doing the temperature checks, they're not doing those health screenings.
Okay, that's what I
said. At a medical facility, it makes sense to do that, but out in business rules, it doesn't.
So we're not getting rid of just the temperature checks, we're getting rid of the health screens as well. I just wanted some clarity so that people know what.
That's correct.
Okay. So we don't need a motion, we just are providing.
Provide
on the agenda. But staff's directed to, I can see from the consensus, the manager can make the decisions for the building. And staff, and then we can formalize things in the next meeting.
We're still increasing though. We're coming down, but we're still new cases on a regular basis. Well, I think we should step lightly. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm uncomfortable with releasing allowing any of the checks to abate. That's just me.
Orly, do you have any thoughts about that?
I agree with them because the results are still coming up. I mean, the cases keep coming up and everything. There's still a lot of people has not taken their vaccination or anything. So I agree with him.
You agree with David? Is that what you're saying, Orly?
Yeah, that's correct. Sorry.
Any other comments from the council? Ideas about that? Robert?
Yeah, my comment would just be if we're getting advice from medical professionals who we rely on that it's not effective and it's not worthwhile, that it's not worthwhile, I don't know that we should be spending staff time doing it.
Is that a consensus?
I mean, that's the information that we received from Mark Meyer at Southwest Health.
Do you want staff to schedule this as an action item on the next meeting then? And then we can have a more formal discussion. I think Chris did direct thing, bring it up to your attention. We can put it on the agenda for an action item and discussion.
Let's do that.
I agree.
Okay.
I was just going to add, we would absolutely not dispensing with masks or with 6 foot distances between people. Those are the key factors. That would be told that make it.
Okay. Any comments on this? That was an action item later date. Okay. Let's see. There's no city manager reports. Are there any city council committee reports?
I've got a couple of quick reports. I attended an economic development meeting with the county and as well as Region 9 and OEDIT about basically the idea of what are we collectively looking for in businesses that we would want to try and bring here and how we can support Region 9 and economic development in Montezuma County in general. And then the other thing, tomorrow I'm attending a emergency management training, which is particularly important with the fire that we had south of the city this past weekend. I just wanted to say thank you to all the firefighters for their work and the emergency management professionals. And that's all I have.
I also have a report.
Speak in the microphone.
First of all, the Cortez Cultural Center is experiencing transition with a focus on turning the gift shop into a co-op art gallery. And also the Public Arts Committee is working in conjunction with the Cultural Center, providing some of the funds. And also the Arts Committee, which has grown somewhat in membership, is sponsoring, I think with Dean Palmquist, the painting of the skate park in the park. Anyway, that's some of the stuff that's happening.
Okay. Any other committee reports?
I don't have any committee reports, but I do want to talk about something cool that happened today. So I I was a part of a community event called Montezuma County Supports Each Other, a look into how we can help families and children thrive. And it was really great. It was really great to hear from other community partners in our area that are supporting the work which help reduce child maltreatment. And if you do have a moment to drive by Montezuma Park, on the north wall of Wild Edge, there's a brand new mural that was developed by the Child Abuse Prevention Society, which is a group of high school youth that are just really cool. They're a really great group of kids. And if you haven't seen their presentation to the commissioners, I believe 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I highly encourage you guys watch it. Somebody said that they're future leaders, but I'm pretty sure they're leaders right now. So I just wanted to let you guys know to go check that out. Thanks.
Thank you. See, there's a Southwest COG meeting on Zoom several days ago, and Senator Hickenlooper was attending the meeting, and they discussed broadband access in the Southwest United States. Included were Miriam Gillow Wiles, the Southern Youth Tribe representative, the Ute Mountain Tribe representative, and a representative from Osprey. And they basically discussed, the problems of broadband and internet access in rural areas in the Southwest. So it is a very productive meeting, having input from local areas that have less access to internet than some of the more urban areas. Last council meeting, we mentioned we had a demonstration from some of the police officers about the new tasers, and I was invited by some of the by Angela Martinez, one of the officers in charge of taser training, and they wanted to know if I'd be willing to participate in the taser training. So I spent 6 hours one day going through taser training because we allotted that money for these weapons and the body cameras and the software. And it was a very informative session. The officers turned in their old lasers, which are really beat up and broken down and falling apart. And they're presented with the new weapons and the holsters and all the instructions, and we're given some expert demonstrations and how they work, and basically got used to handling them, taking in and out of the holsters. And we had some scenarios where we were able to shoot the tasers into targets, some live rounds, some active rounds, with different scenarios where you had to run up to the target and trying to determine whether they were going to comply with police officers' orders or not, and if not, the taser was required, it would be employed. We had some laser loads that had Velcro, or can't use the word Velcro, it's zip, what is the term? Hook and loop, yeah, hook and loop material. And the laser, instead of having the projectile in it, just stuck to the material. And 2 police officers volunteered to dress up in these Velcro or the hook and loop uniforms. And, each officer that qualified for the training was given a scenario. They didn't know it beforehand. They said they had to determine what was going on and find out, what it's like, to make a split-second decision whether to use the taser or not. And there was one live demonstration where one of the police women volunteered to take a live round in her body. They fired the taser into her, and we saw the effects of her, and she's wonderful. She did really good. And So I just thank the police department for offering that participation and just kind of give us an idea, what's involved in the police interactions with the community and how to de-escalate things and using less than lethal force. And of course, a lot of it is the police officers' interaction with people. We have a great police force here, and we really admire them and give them our support. So thank you, Chief Knuckles and the police department for the constructive participation. Very informative. Okay, any other?
I just have some, yeah. I'll make mine really quick then. I recently joined the Bridge Shelter Board as kind of a city council representative, and the director of the Bridge Shelter is retiring, and so we're in the middle of interviewing new candidates for the Bridge Shelter. The other thing I have is I have a Mesa Verde Country meeting tomorrow. Last Saturday, I volunteered for the 12 Hours of Mesa Verde race. There was a great turnout for that, and hopefully a little sales tax boom for Cortez. That was a lot of fun, and I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, any other committee reports? The workshop, at the workshop today, we had a Colby early discussing recycled materials for the material management website. Give us an update on the new items that were available on the city website. Then we had an update on the paths to Mesa Verde Trail by James Dietrich from the county. We had a local vendors preference discussion. We have a discussion on combining the tree commission with the Parks and Recreation Board to create Parks Recreation Enforcement Advisory Board. And we had an update on the Colorado Department of Transportation Multimodal Options Grant Fund. And finally, we had a update on the Imagination Library Grant with Karen Sheep. And that's about it. And if there's no further discussion, I call this meeting adjourned.
Did it. Been 2 hours. I wanted, they were placing bets for when you would get done. I was like, oh, we'll probably be done by 9.